Captain America, a character with a backstory we all know well, so be prepared to forget it all. Bob says it's my turn to play Captain America. I made the costume myself. Grant Gardner? I thought he played the Flash, not Cap. Reed Richards convinced Cap to hire his sister. Lionel Atwill's in this crap? You can repeatedly steal the screen from Basil Rathbone, but you lie about hosting one orgy. Not Commissioner Gordon, not Chief Inspector Dreyfus, but a secret third thing, Commissioner Dryden. Hey, George J. Lewis, just 13 years before he'd play Zorro's dad, even though he'd look 30 years older doing it. Hey, get these credits out of the way, I can't see where I'm going. Would you like some tea, Norman Nesbitt? The characters depicted are fictitious. Any resemblance to actual comic book characters is purely coincidental. Co-directed by Johnny English? Why couldn't it have been Mr. Bean or Blackadder? Chapter 1, The Purple Death, the dark secret behind the Grimace Shake. Captain America, famous motorcyclist, even though so far we've only seen him drive a car. I can't hear a thing through this hood. He's credited separately because Grant is such a distinct personality from Cap. Lorna Gray, Jean's sister who didn't make it into the X-Men. Lionel Atwill, Commander. Mayor Randolph, who will of course warn Junior Asparagus about the magic bean. Weird that Gruber is the one who wasn't in the scene involving a vault and a skyscraper. Frank Reacher, the Asylum version of Jack Reacher. There are 15 episodes of this. I will make a pun on every name in the credits before we're through. So, in case you missed the last episode, Captain America actively killed at least 3 people and showed up too late to prevent the deaths of 2 others. Why did a guy named English co-direct Captain America? Chapter 2, Mechanical Executioner, the story of a self-driving Tesla. Captain America, seen here in his awkward yearbook photo, surprises the Scarab's agents after they did all the bad stuff he should have prevented. Welcome back, true believers. Last time, the courageous Captain America was lying down while a tractor slowly rolled towards him. Excelsior! I really appreciate how this portrayal of Cap looks like the exact opposite of Rob Liefeld's. She's named Gail because in the script they just called her Girl. Dr. Maldor, they may as well have called him Professor Bad Sinister. Be careful crossing the Trowbridge, it'll likely get destroyed by a Superman villain. Mattson looks so uncomfortable to be standing next to Gruber, and can you blame him? Ironically, Tom Chatterton isn't that talkative. He only chats a little. Lady Chatterton's lover. Hey, we got a Fraser and a Crane. Captain America hears the blues a-callin'. Those summers on the English Clifton side. Chapter 3, The Scarlet Shroud, the story of Miss O'Hara's rags. Captain America leering at the audience while the text reminds us what a failure he is. America! In the criminal justice system, the people are represented by 2 separate yet equally unimportant groups. The police who are absolutely useless and the district attorney who runs around in his pajamas. These are their stories. The letters in Dick Purcell should have rearranged for the DA like Navkid keyed. We photographed this woman before and after telling her she was Gail Richards. You'd think they'd figure out Maldor is the Scarab based on how high he's billed in the credits. Mayor Randolph doing his best George Burns impression. Just gonna say it, Gruber hasn't done nearly enough henchmanning to warrant sharing a bill with Mattson. Hugh Southern, the sworn enemy of small Northern. Edward Keane, which Family Circus kid is that? RCA, which does not stand for Real Captain America. Directed by John Elmer and English Clifton. Chapter 4, Preview of Murder, which always gives away the best scenes of murder. Oh, this time the description tries to pretend Cap did something right. Electronic Firebolt is not a good electronic commando name. This time the credits double as the previously on recap. Dick Purcell, the least reliable battery brand. I've been trying to get a gardening grant for months, but it's all tied up in bureaucracy. The name Lorna Gray sounds like a fake actor who's a parody of Myrna Loy, but Gail is no Nora Charles. Ask your Dr. Maldor if monocles are right for you. You know what? I take back what I said about Gruber. Why is Mayor Randolph still in the credits? Like, at least Gruber shows up each time. Where's the mayor? What goes on in this city? The musical about John Hamilton wasn't nearly as big a hit. Jay Novello, he played Grandfather Sarducci. Now that I've seen the motorcycle footage in context, it's exactly as boring as I thought it would be. John English, Elmer Clifton, his name is my name too. Chapter 5, Blade of Wrath, which is still in development hell like all Marvel Blade movies. So, you're watching an 80-year-old serial. Again. Is it just me, or do the shape of Cap's eye holes look like a really bad racist caricature? And now another exciting adventure of Captain Attorney, the District America! Do we think Dick Purcell was related to Sam & Max creator Steve Purcell? I mean, he is kind of playing the role of freelance police here. Why did Gail do her pose in the shadow of a botanical garden? I'm not a Republic serial villain. Oh, wait, yes I am. Yeah, nice try pretending these guys are still in this. You're listening to The Morning Zoo with Madsen and Gruber, only on SKRB, the Scarab. There are 3 Johns in the cast of this Marvel series. John was the original Chris. That emblem on the left kind of looks like Captain America's shield. And a 4th John co-directing. You could fill 2 They Might Be Giantses with this cast and crew. Chapter 6, Vault of Vengeance, where Coyote vs. Acme is locked up. Oof, starting things off with Gail's obituary. I will say, she's far more photogenic than Cap. Republic Pictures Captain America, proof that movie theaters were desperate to fill the pre-show with anything before they invented Maria Menounos. Starring a hero with resting, I hope nobody noticed I pooped face. Whose secret identity is the lawyer so boring even David E. Kelly wouldn't write about him. Featuring his sidekick who does more work for him than Penny does for Inspector Gadget. His arch-nemesis who must be exhausted acting circles around everyone else. His allies who apparently are still characters in this if you can trust the credits. And special appearance by 2 of his enemies' 6,348 henchmen. With a handful of people who maybe could have gotten their faces in the opening credits if they weren't all passed out drunk under the craft services table. The characters and events are fictitious, obviously, because nobody who works in a museum could possibly have enough money to fund the Scarab's operations. Chapter 7, Wholesale Destruction, the customer-facing division of Destruction, Inc. Captain America fails at doing something after Gale successfully did something else, and also Henley's involved somehow. Who's strong and brave, and who's here to save the American way? Yeah, Mencken's better. You think this letter on my head stands for France? I'm seriously asking. Spelling's not my strong suit. Is he holding up his watch to trick us into thinking he's Dick Tracy? All the leaves are brown, and the Lorna gray. Oh God, Lionel, that ring's not for your eye. Commissioner MIA and Mayor not appearing in this film. These guys are fine, but they'll never be Gabe. That is a lot of actors to play the Professor and Mary Ann. How many store-provided bagnies did you use? Phonofilm gave them so much money to use RCA instead. Clearly, Clifton isn't strong enough to glue this story together. Chapter 8, Cremation in the Clouds, the story of using a fire flower in World 1-3. Wait, how many hyphens are in Technogas? Let's get a consistent style guide here. And now, on with our story. Let's take a break from election anxiety by focusing on an Avatar for America who's guaranteed to be disappointing. And here we see what a cell looks like under a microscope. Grant's checking his own pulse because there's really no proof he's alive. Gail's smiling because she thinks she really was killed off and doesn't have to do this anymore. You get so few non-villainous monocle users anymore. Mayor Randolph Hearst, big fan of sleds and trying to shoot Charlie Chaplin. Gruber, hoping for a better life for his descendants Hans and Simon. John Hamilton, who of course played the Wicked Wizard of the West in The Witch of Oz. I will say, this is my favorite Crane Whitley movie. I'm skeptical that this thing has any characters or events. The long-awaited collaboration between the director of one episode of The Bob Cummings Show and a guy who was in Birth of a Nation. Chapter 9, Triple Tragedy, When I Cut 3 of My Fingers. We all know it's Maldor. You don't need to call him the Scarab when you're just talking to the audience. Ah, 2 previously on blurbs. This one has Gail's driver's license photo. I'm Gail Richards and I approve this message. Well, it's not the Captain America we need, but it's apparently the Captain America we deserve. The true avatar of America. Some dick. I am Lorna the White now. Dr. Maldor, surrounded by the shadow of hookahs. Oh, come on, Mr. Mayor, you didn't tell me we were wearing hats for this one. Joke's on you, I don't even own a hat. And these guys, we all know and love them. We can definitely pinpoint which episodes they all show up in. I want to ride my bicycle. At least these 2 directors put forth a unified vision. Chapter 10, The Avenging Corpse, in which George Reeves seeks revenge on the producers of The Flash. Ah, Mattson looks just as surprised as we are that he's the focus of the previously on. Well, happy Groundhog Day. Let's celebrate by watching something repetitive. If you wore this to Oogie Boogie Bash, Disney would give you an official costume out of pity. You know, Lorna Gray was in the Three Stooges short You Nasty Spy, one of the earliest film satires of the Third Reich. Lionel Atwill was in the original To Be or Not to Be, another film that satirized Nazis. Charles Trowbridge was in Confessions of a Nazi Spy, and Russell Hicks was in Hitler, Dead or Alive. You can guess from the titles where I'm going with this. George J. Lewis was in freaking Casablanca, and John Davidson was in freaking The Great Dictator. Nearly everyone in this was in anti-Nazi movies, and yet they all came together for a Captain America that doesn't fight Nazis. I'm sorry, I just really want to see some Nazi punching. Any prediction of political incompetence in the judiciary is purely coincidental. Chapter 11, The Dead Man Returns, followed by Dead Man Forever and Dead Man and Corpse Boy. Cap is killed again, Matson fell to his death, but let's talk about Gale. You may find yourself investigating a scarab shack. Captain America, Dumb Old World. Hey, what happened to the awkward sitcom poses? How am I supposed to be disappointed when Russell Hicks doesn't show up now? How am I supposed to know that those actors got paid more than these actors when I can't see any of their faces? But Doctor, I am Bagniacci. I guess I'd be grateful the credits were shorter if it didn't mean the film itself was probably longer. Chapter 12, Horror on the Highway, the story of merging onto the 110. He also failed to stop Lyman from getting shot, but he's constantly failing to stop unalivings. He's never failed to stop an aliving before. Republic Pictures? Republic Pictures are no good out here. I need something more real. With an ensemble this iconic, it's so hard to choose a favorite. I'm pretty sure there's more than this many people on screen across the series, and I just want to know if everyone who wasn't credited fired their agents or thanked them. I'm glad they told me the events are fictitious. I might have really thought they brought a dude back to life and then made zero attempt to recreate that technology. Took 2 whole guys to deftly guide this one. Chapter 13, Skyscraper Plunge, a less effective Marvel overlay of Tower of Terror. Ah, yes, remind the kids that they barely got to see him as Cap last week. You've taken the Cap out of recap. Hello, boys and girls, this is your old friend, the ghost of Adam West speaking. I know some of you may have, at various points, thought that my take on Batman was rather silly. However, now that you've seen the type of superhero serials that we were teasing in our show, I think you can appreciate what we were doing a little better. Like when our plots didn't make sense, it was on purpose for comedic effect. Admittedly, we may not have had Lionel Atwill on our show, but we had Vincent Price, and isn't that even a little bit better? Chapter 14, The Scarab Strikes, a title we could have used for literally any one of these chapters. Wait, he actually was Cap in the previous climax, but they're still using the Grant title card? Took them this long to be embarrassed by the costume, huh? Well, folks, it's time to say farewell to Captain America and all these characters we know and love. You remember the ones. Gale, Matson, Mayor What's-His-Name, Commissioner Who's-It. I think there were a couple of Lymans. There was a professor named after a car. I feel like Edward Van Sloan showed up really briefly. And, of course, the true hero of the series, Walt Davis. I hope you enjoyed this serial. Robert Fraser would have enjoyed this interview a lot more if he had gotten his cup of coffee! After all this, these guys still want to take credit for this, huh? Last chapter, The Toll of Doom, with a massive paycheck for Robert Downey Jr. Okay, now they're bending over backwards to avoid using Cap's picture. Why did it take them this long?